sent out for me. It means a lot more than you know. This is going to be a lot about God and spiritual awakening. So, you guys that have a hard time with it, you know, I was an atheist, so just so you know, maybe we can find some common ground, maybe we can't. But this is my story about how God helped me become someone that I know He loves, and I didn't know that before. I'm not going to go straight there without starting with the prayers, because that's what I do. It's just going to take a second. God help me to let your words come through and not mine. Amen. This is a big honor for me to be here, that you guys that love me want to hear what I have to say. This is why I'm wearing this and not what I always wear. You guys, you know, it's the basketball shorts, right? Come on. It ain't this. It ain't this. This is a little payback, you know. It's like you're honoring me and I'm honoring you. What I've learned, this applies to me, you know. My boys, they know me. I'm kind of left field now. The spiritual awakening has brought me to a point where the points of view don't really agree with a lot of what the world tells. So it applies to me. It doesn't project on anyone else how they should be, because we all learn our own race. You know, that's something God taught me. We all learn our own race. Everybody's their own place. It's up to Him and ain't up to me. But I just want to share my story because it's worked so well. What He's taught me, I want to share it because, you know, it's made me a happy man. Shit, I want to pass it along. I also wanted to share my outlook on God because, you know, I talk a lot of the meetings about God. I talk to God. You guys hear me all the time. I talk to God and He told me this and He told me. Well, my wife here told me the other day, she says, you know, you lose people with that. I'm like, what do you mean? And she says, well, you say you talk to God, everything you're freaking nuts. And I go, well, so I wanted to share what that God is to me. I look at it as we see on TV, you know, they did it well, right? With the devil on this side and the angel on this side. Well, the angel over here is my connection with God. That's the way I look at it. And what He's taught me is, as I listen to this guy only, my life gets better. And this son of a bitch over here tries to ruin my life. So I don't want to talk to him. You know, he's stupid. He's trying to hurt me. Here, take drugs, you'll feel better. You know, that's the kind of stuff he tells me. So that's my outlook on God. So then when I'm talking, it's a part of me. You know, it's my connection with the best part of me. And I'm convinced we all have that connection. And, you know, we can all talk together. So let me go on and tell you what I'm going to talk about covering here tonight. I'm going to talk about my spiritual awakening, going from an atheist to, you know, the guy in left field with a hell of a lot of faith. I'm going to talk about how that spiritual awakening relates to my addiction, because that's why we're here, right? I mean, that's why we're here. Addiction was this son of a bitch running crazy. I'm going to talk about forgiveness of myself and how I had to give it away before I believed it. In other words, forgiveness of myself is I carried a big rock about what an asshole I was. I did this. I think everybody in this room has a tape, right? We don't come to AA because it was a goddamn wonderful, you know, experience. I mean, we come because we got these rocks around our neck. And God taught me how to forgive myself. And I'm going to talk about how He did that and how I had to give it away to actually believe it. I'm also going to talk about the miracle here, which is why I'm here. That's just fantastic. And how faith in God has affected me and what's happening in my life now. So that's, you guys got the rundown what's coming. So I'm going to start with my awakening and about being an atheist. Because, you know, until I was 18, I really thought the idea of God was stupid. You know, you don't see Him, right? You don't show up, and you don't smell Him. He doesn't. I just thought the whole idea was dumb. Why would anybody want that crutch? I mean, we live here in this world, and people even talk about God. That's weird. Don't talk about God. So I thought the whole idea was just ridiculous. And then what happened was, the things, since I was I guess you would call it a materialist, right? I lived in the world and I thought that's all that there was. I based my self-esteem and who I was on the car I drove, the girl I went with, the money in my pocket, things like that, right? So, I was doing pretty good at 18, I had a good job, my self-esteem, well, I don't know, I'm a man, or whatever. Well, God, he was smarter than me, right? So, I had this freak of bad luck. Got robbed, got an uninsured guy, car accident, got this, got that. I mean, for months, it just kept going down. My self-esteem was like, all these things that I thought were important, taken away. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So, one day I'm at one of those, I was at a phone booth. Back in the day, 30 years ago, people used to leave those little pamphlets, right? Jesus saves, anything that said Jesus saved or said God, never read it, ever. No way, man. That's just stupid, I'm not reading that. Well, because I was feeling so low and what I thought I knew was being taken away from me, I thought, I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a try, right? So it said, so I read the pamphlet. It says, all you have to do is turn your life around. I take Jesus as my Savior. And I thought, well, what do I got to lose, right? So I read it. And I said, and I closed my eyes and I prayed. First time ever, right? And I opened my eyes and I thought, no, that didn't work. Not seriously, that didn't work. So I walked away, right? But then I started getting, what I know now is, what I did was I actually opened the door to the angel part over here. Maybe there's something more. And so then he started talking. And he talks to me a lot different than this son bitch. He screams in my ear. This guy's really quiet when he talks. And he says, well, what do you think? Since you want to check it out, you thought maybe it was worth it. Why don't you see if there's something to it? Okay, that makes sense to me. So he says, well, try to read this book, see what you think. It's called, I think, The Late Great Planet Earth. And it was like a spiritual, biblical prophecy or whatever. To make a long story short, there was a logical argument that there is a God, right? And I'm reading that and I'm going, really? I was actually shocked that there's a logical argument, And so I thought, so my God, maybe there's something to this. Okay, let me find out if it's true. I want to know, right, if it's true. So the next thing he tells me is, let's start, reading all this religious stuff. So I started reading that. I'm like, a lot of it didn't really make a lot of sense to me, and it doesn't in many ways. But one thing that happened to me was I read the part of the Bible where they say, pray for your enemies. And so the little angel over here goes, yeah, that means something. I'm like, okay. So I had this guy come over to my house the day before. The next day my house was robbed, and it was him. So God says, okay, well, pray for your enemies. What do you think, bud? And what I've learned now as time goes by is when he talks to me, I do it. Well, I wasn't so smart then, but I said, okay, well, if there's really a God, and I do what you're telling me what to do, something should happen. You should show yourself to me that there is a God, otherwise it's bullshit. What do I want you for? You tell me to do this. Okay, so to make a long story short, I got on my knees, and I said, okay, I prayed for the guy next door, my enemy. And this is not really the kind of guy I was. I had lots of guns, and if you'd been in my house, I would have shot you. Okay, so he comes over the next day after I did his prayer, and he says, well, saw this such and such car, and these Mexicans, and they were in your house, and blah, blah. Now out of my mouth comes something completely foreign to the kind of man that I was at that time. I said, well, I hope they got whatever they needed. And he looked right at the ground, and the angel said, told you. I was like, I know, I was in shock. And then, then this son of a bitch starts up and goes, I don't need nothing. That's nothing. And God says, oh yeah, it is. You know it is in your heart. That is something. And so that was like the start of faith. Well, maybe there is something here. Maybe I want to listen. Maybe this will help me. So that was the beginning of me dropping being atheist and going to this start faith journey is what I'll call it today. The next thing that happened was, let me get this. That was, my head's a little scrambled these days. Okay, well, it just started me down the journey. My head's scrambled. I might get back to that, I might not. Who knows? but it started me to listen. Okay, yeah, now I want to talk about how it relates to my addiction. Because what happened then, I had this small voice over here that was telling me, you know, lazy you are, George, you need to look at those. Look at the kind of man you are. I go, what do you mean? He goes, okay, when that guy drove up and he wanted to share his new car with you, you know, you showed him the net. Yeah, I did, didn't I? He goes, did he want to be like that? No, not really. When that guy told you about his new job, you told him you made more than him, huh? Yeah, gee, what kind of a dick, huh? Yeah, I was, and I didn't know it. I swear to God, I didn't know it was a dick. And, same story, right? Well, I noticed people didn't even want to hang out with me. I didn't even know why. But then, you know, I started having a spiritual connection. And you started telling me that, you know, you're the guy who's like trying to climb on everybody else to get to the top. And so I said, I don't want to be that guy. That's not the guy I like. I want to like people. I want to be the guy that I like, you know. He says, yeah, you can do it. I go, okay, I'm done. Got my relationship with God, right? So it's kind of funny because the drugs and alcohol, dude, I'm an asshole. And the drugs and alcohol, every time, the next day, he goes, well, you acting like this, man. Why you did that? What do you think? And I'm like, yeah, man, these drugs, man, they're like, they're controlling me. I don't like it. I become someone I don't like. It's like I turn my will and my life over to the care of drugs. I mean, that's what it is, right? That's what I was doing. And so I go, yeah. He says, well, you can quit. I go, yeah, that's a great idea. Quit! So, yeah, sounded good to me, right? Yeah. And, man, I tried. I said, I'm going to quit. So I tell my friends, that's it, man, I'm not doing this anymore. I like the man I am, blah, 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 blah. Well, the first step in AA, you know, for a lot of people, the first step in AA is not so hard. For Georgie, it's goddamn murder. Because I thought I had some strength in this relationship that, you know, I got God and me together, He's helping me, and I'm going to be able to just, you know, move through this drug thing. It didn't work that way. It didn't work that way at all. It worked in, I couldn't stop. I mean, it was, I like they talk about pitiful and incomprehensible conversation because I felt it over and over. And I never really understood why. Because it freaking hurt. Everybody in this room knows how much it hurts. So, one day, I'm coming down off the drugs and, you know, shaking and feeling horrible. Want to put a gun to my head almost. And it was the day of the surrender where I said, God, I don't care anymore. I'm about to go to jail. I've had a heart attack. Just help me stop. Because I can't. I can't. And that's step one. I can't. And it just seems like such a paradox. You know, it's like, He wants me to stop, and yet I can't. Well, the whole idea was, because I asked him about it later, he says, you got to understand He's in charge. And it ain't you. That was what was hard for me. I had to completely give up myself to, I can't do it. God can, but I couldn't. And that was really, really hard. At least for me. I like, you know, it's funny because I share with other people and they're like, sure, I never remember today. I can do it. That wasn't me. I'm too freaking hard-headed. You know, some of us can relate with what I'm saying, and some of us can't. But that's where I was at. And I want to talk about forgiveness of myself, my past, and the rock, and the, you know, like I tell you, like I was sharing here, I was an asshole. Well, that's not a good memory. You know, that's not something that this guy, he didn't beat me up, telling me I'm a nasty son of a bitch. It's this guy over here who wants me to go destroy my life, you know. This guy over here says, you're carrying that, George. It doesn't feel good. I knew it was right, carrying it. He says, you have to forgive yourself for that. Well, how do I do it? You know, how can I get to forgiveness? That's what happened. That's what I did. And he goes, yeah, but you're looking at something that can never be changed in a certain way. And what does that mean? He says, you're looking at it through a negative light of assholeness. He says, there's another way to look at it. You can look at it the way I look at it. I go, what does that mean? He says, dude, I knew all along. I knew all along from the day you started using drugs, that's what you needed to learn not to do drugs. I go, yeah, you knew. Listen, I knew it all along. I wasn't in pain for you. I knew that's what you needed. He says, you can look at it that way. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. That's like a loving way to look at myself. That's what a loving God would say to me, right? So I go, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to let that go, man. That's what I needed. My drug addiction was a good thing. You guys have heard me say it. And I know a lot of people go, oh, freaking stupid. But hey, it's taught me to forgive myself. Okay, so he taught me that. I need to look at it differently, that that's exactly what I needed to get to here where I never ever want to use drugs again. That was just a needed part of the process. Okay, so after he taught me that, he goes, okay, you're never going to believe that until you give it away. I'm all, what? I go, oh yeah. He goes, here's your son here. He's a drug addict now. You got to tell him it's okay, that it's good for him. What? Yeah, right, that's freaking insanity, right? It's way out left field. So I'm all, well, I don't get it. He says, well, until you're willing to give that to your son and give him the freedom and the faith that I gave to you, you will never believe that. You will never believe it in your soul that it was good for you. And that's why you're different. And I had a really hard time with that. Because then he carried on and he says, not only do you have to give it to him and tell him that it's okay if he wants to do it, you have to be willing to accept his choices, whether it takes his life or not. I go, oh. Takes his life, Mom? He goes, yep. I gave you the choice. And you know, I've got this faith now where I listen. So I said, okay, I'll try. So he and I sat down, right, a year ago, and I said, you can do what you want, you know, but you can't be a drug addict around me because I'm a drug addict and I can't handle it. But you're going to do what you're going to do, and I can't control him anyway. That just would have drove me crazy. That's another thing God taught me about was I can't control another man's life. I can maybe let him help me, but everyone else is on their own, in their own way. Well, because of that, me letting that go and having faith in Alex, he and I, yeah, we did this, right? We did. And he was here, drugging it, and I was here. We weren't talking. It was horrible for both of us. And, what did you say, 9 months, maybe? 9 months. He came and asked me, right? He says, hey, Dad, I need some help. Well, do you think he would have said that to me if I had been telling him, you can't do that. You're fucking your life up. I'm sorry for cussing him out, but if I was the one condemning him all that time instead of saying, no, I have faith in you that you'll figure it out. When he did figure it out, do you think he would have come to me? I don't think he would have. I would have been holding him off with my own condemnation of my own self. And so, instead of that, I gave him the chance, and I forgave myself at the same time, to be who he is. You know, he's this wonderful kid, and, you know, here we are like now. I mean, I had this big black hole that I was dealing with 9 months ago, and God knew all along it wasn't a big black hole, it was a goddamn huge blessing. I didn't know. Now I do know. Now we're here. Now we're together. Not only do I have my son back, I have you guys. I mean, I didn't go to AA for 20 years. I didn't really feel it. My program sucked. I mean, I had my spiritual connection with God, but I was not an AA person. Well, I started coming with him every day. I started meeting new people. You know, I mean, and to be honest with you, I felt like, oh, shit. And I'm inspired by AA now. You know, I hear people and they give honest shares, and it's like, God, I love this place, man. This is where people are, they change their lives, and it's just inspiring to me. I just love it. To be honest with you, I love it. So I got a double blessing out of, you know, what happened between him and me. But the big lesson for me was I had to give it away to believe it. I never could have really, I wouldn't have believed it about myself until I could give it to him. That's another thing God's taught me. I have to give to get. Yeah, I don't know this one. Miracles so far. Over AA. Okay, my faith in God and how it's affected me in my life. You know, this talking to this angel over here has affected me in that he's taught me to love myself. You know, I never did. He's taught me that he's always loved me when I'm working. That was not an easy lesson for me to accept. I was carrying around, you know, hate, pain, and I'm not worthy. You know, I'm listening to this stuff, right? And God's been giving me His grace and His love, you know, and I'm feeling it from you guys. And you know, you've been so wonderful to me. It's just, it's been hard for me to accept, actually. And he talked to me about that. He said, you know, until you can accept people want to give you love and not go, because I was always the guy who was, you know, I got me and God on a rock, and you didn't even see me cry because I don't have a reason to cry. But he taught me that I need to accept from other people when they, you know, hey, I want to say a prayer for you. Hey, let's go to this prayer group together. Or hey, I did something, you know. And then now I say thank you. I'll put my arms around you, you know, because he's taught me to love myself. Let it in, you know, let it in. And I wasn't. In the last 3 weeks, you know, he showed me how important it is for me to let that in. Because that's the way he's always felt about me. I never really understood that. When I was in my doubt and pain and going through all that drug stuff, I mean, I never understood that that was all part of a perfect plan. And he already knew. He already knew this was not a bad thing. I was the one who was holding on to the badness of it. He already knew. This is the perfect plan, how you open your mind, how you learn to love yourself. Well, now that he's taught me, you know, and he's walked me through my life, right? These lessons as they come. And it's like each one advances a little bit. And so now my new lesson is, you know, some of you guys know what's going on. I'll share it with you, what's going on with me. Is that I get my son back, right? 5 months. And 3 weeks ago, you know, a little headache, whatever. Make a long story short, the cancer's everywhere. You know, it's in my brain, it's in my lungs, it's in my liver, it's in my bones, it's in my adrenal system. Okay, so it's everywhere. So we see the doctor, and you know, he basically says, okay, there's medically there's no hope. You know, you're on your way out. Well, the difference now is because he's walked me through this wonderful, blessed life, beautiful children, beautiful wife, this wonderful AA experience. I mean, it's like the next steps, and I'm not scared. It's like I've learned to accept that there's a blessing here. And there has been. You know, we found out 3 weeks ago, you know, this diagnosis, right? And the last 3 weeks have been the best 3 weeks of my life. By far. It's not even close. It's not even close. You know, you shared about the mother thing, right? And that was something I held on to. Harold having a nightmare with his mother for freaking 15 years, right? It's not her fault. Now I know that. It's never somebody else's fault. If I'm having a nightmare, it's always on me. I need to look there. That's something God is telling me. Look there. Don't ever look there because that ain't the reason. That's the bullshit reason. That's this guy talking. It's always him talking, justifying your behavior. In other words, I was being an asshole and I was blaming her for it. No, but I was still going to be an asshole. So he and I talked about that, and he says, you know, let's move past that. Well, we did this week. His mother and I hugged, and she told me she loved me, and I told her I loved her. Come on. If you guys knew the relationship she and I had, my boys are over there just, what the hell? You have no idea, man. It was like one of the greatest miracles of all time. And I'm just telling you one. I had other things like my best friend for 15 years. I had made up this thing in my mind that he'd slept with my ex-wife. And so we weren't best friends because I thought that's what would happen. Well, because of this news, I'm not holding anything back, right, man? I'm talking to people, I'm sharing. And I said, hey, you know, I don't even care if you did sleep with my wife. I just want to move past it. I go, it's cool if you did. I said, my life turned out perfect because of it. You know, I got the 3 boys, and I got this being a better father because I was divorced. There's a lot of good stuff that came out of divorce. If you slept with her, I don't care. She started laughing. I made that whole thing up. And so then we hugged and cried. I told him I loved him. I made that up. And I got other things, exactly the same things. This God thing, man, it's like, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. And this cancer, people are all, oh, I'm sorry for it. Dude, don't feel sorry for me. Jesus, I've lived the most blessed life ever. Why would you feel sorry for me? And God and I talked about it. He goes, hey, everybody's leaving this world. Everybody's leaving this world. Maybe you a little quicker. Maybe not. That ain't up to you. The question is, are you going to live in the blessing? Are you going to live in the now? Are you going to live what I'm giving you? Because I always give you my love. Do you want to feel it? Hell yeah, I want to feel it. He goes,